Hey, welcome to Planetary Pennies, Astrology Overview and Look at the month ahead of October 2020. Before I start, some people have been telling me they're finding it difficult to find their particular sun sign, and they don't particularly want to read or listen to all the other sun signs, which I fully understand, unless of course you know your ascendant or your moon sign, and then you can also look at those for yourself. So my lovely tech guy Jerry has just given me a brief description so that I can explain to you how you find your particular sun sign. So if you look down here at the bottom of the video here, you should see a little arrow. I think at this point it's probably pointing upwards, but it has something written on it that says show more. Now what you have to do is you click on show more and a description box drops down, and then you will see like an index for all the signs. So you'll have, Leo, and it'll start with the overview for October plus Leo's astrology. So that way I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier for you to navigate around this channel. Okay, so with no further ado, and I really hope that helps to explain it, I will continue with October's overview. So we are now in Libra season. So, when the sun moves into Libra, it kind of focuses us much more on the relationship aspect of life. So that would be the relationship aspect of, for example, our one-to-one close friendships, our one-to-one intimate relationships with family, with more, our wider friend circle. I also think, because when I looked at the chart, and I'm going to go over that briefly in a minute, when I looked at the chart for October, there is actually a pretty strong emphasis, in spite of the sun being in Libra, there is an emphasis on relationships. And I think this is on a rather grander scale, because I think this is actually on an international scale. Relationships between countries, relationships within countries, between communities. My sense is, because we have Mars retrograde, and it will be for quite a while in Aries, and Mars is making this harsh, difficult aspect to the big boys, Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, which is in the 7th house of this October chart that I've set up. And what that tells me is that I really feel governments and world leaders are going to really struggle with keeping people safe within the confines of lockdown, because I suspect there's going to be a real movement underneath, or underground if you like, of the masses, the populace, getting very frustrated with lockdown, getting very frustrated with the fact that they are being so damaged financially in their individual businesses. They are losing jobs, and so there is going to be, I think, a real surge towards this kind of unrest. And my sense is that as these planets, that is Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, start to move forward again in Capricorn, because Pluto actually starts to move forward on it moves forward on the 4th of October. So we will then have these three big boys going direct in Capricorn. So that's Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter. Now remember, Jupiter expands, and Jupiter can expand negative stuff as well as positive stuff, because it's like Jupiter is kind of neutral. So what I want to say with this is that, Pluto is pushing us towards transforming the way we actually govern our planet. It's pushing countries to transform the way they administer their governmental duties. It's on such a broad scale. You see Saturn that is also direct now, because Saturn went direct at the end of September. You know, Saturn is about governments and order and law and restrictions and boundaries. And I really feel that there is going to be quite a tension throughout the month of October, because as we move towards the end of the year, when these planets, in a sense, meet up much more tightly, because Jupiter, and again, remember, it expands what it touches. That's great if you've got a winning lottery ticket. And maybe we'll get some of those this month, who knows? And let's hope I'll go and buy one. And it expands what's negative and what's dark as well. So, you know, we also have to remember that we're moving towards the US elections. And we've seen in other years how tense things get throughout the world as we observe what's happening on the United States stage in these kind of events that have to unfold. So what I'm saying on a more personal level is, be mindful of your close personal relationships. Be mindful of short tempers with each other. I notice, for example, on social media, one gets a lot of kind of attacking going on between people. You know, there's the pro-masks against the anti-masks. There's the pro-vaxxers against the anti-vaxxers. I mean, people, we've all got to try and live together in harmony. And at this point, does it matter on one level who's right and who's wrong? It's just that perhaps we have differences of opinion. And I think if we can respect each other's differences of opinion, as we all strive towards building a stronger future and somehow pulling together the dramatic change that this planet is kind of going through at the moment, if we go with that, because, you know, when you when a branch holds itself firm against the wind will snap it and break it. If it bends, then it can survive. And I think one of the underlying symbols for me about this month is that what we have to do is actually bend with that force of the wind. We've got to bend with the force of Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter moving towards their final kind of meeting in November, I think it is, when they finally all get together. The other thing I want to talk about before I move on to your individual signs is that we have a Mercury retrograde this month. Now, please don't fear Mercury retrograde. It can be a good thing, because it can give all of us, including the government, second chances to tweak things, to get things right this time. You know, as countries throughout the planet are beginning to see that they may have to enforce larger lockdowns again because of this kind of second wave that, I don't know whether the first wave ever went away, to be quite honest, but we have this kind of surge in virus cases. It feels like, hopefully, every single government throughout the world will use the vision of hindsight. I mean, we all know that 2020 is going to have that stigma on it forever of 2020 hindsight. And but you know, this Mercury retrograde is helping that. It's saying, look, we can see what we perhaps didn't get right last time. Let's try and actually get it right this time, because that way maybe we can save lives, we can save jobs, we can save businesses. So that's the positive of Mercury retrograde. The sort of the more downside of Mercury retrograde, and Mercury's going to be in Scorpio, and he goes then back into Libra, and he doesn't go direct till November the 3rd. So we've got, from the 14th of October, we've got this Mercury retrograde period. Yes, we can expect delays in travel, but I think we know why, and I think we're all more aware that if we are booking long distance travel or even short distance travel, it may be subject to change or cancellation. And I don't think we can just stop living our lives because of all these restrictions. I think we have to learn to adapt. And by adapting, I think respect everybody's own individual wishes within that. And respect each other, because this Libra emphasis on relationship, I do feel is super important for October. You know, this Mars square to Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, you know, there's going to be a lot of kind of sparking off and fights and arguments, and it's just quite tricky. I just want to look at what Uranus is doing, because Uranus is retrograde, of course, in Taurus, and I do think because Taurus is all about money and investments, this retrograde Uranus is going to see a little bit more instability again in the financial world and the sort of the economic climate, which is not what any of us want to hear. But I think there's a lot of nervousness around because of, you know, the fact that we're coming into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and we are going to go through quite a challenging time. Now, I have talked a lot about October in this overview, but I just feel it's important to get these points across. Your individual sun signs will probably not be quite as long, but they will hopefully have the more direct information that you require to navigate your way through October. So before you go on to that, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into my channel, watching my videos, and subscribing to my channel. If you've not subscribed, I'd be super happy if you could. That would be fantastic. And the likes and shares are hugely, hugely appreciated. And also, if you would like to book a personal one-to-one session with me for astrology or life coaching, or you'll probably find it's a combination of both, in fact, then my website address is in the description box underneath the video. I think it's also just written here in the bottom of the video. So that's all I want to say for now. And so until next month, enjoy your October horoscopes. Thank you. Hey Capricorn, welcome to your October astrology for either the Sun in Capricorn or the Ascendant in Capricorn. And if by chance you know where your Moon is, and if it's in Capricorn, you could check that out too. Okay, well, Capricorn, I think I am going to start actually with the good news, because Pluto, that has been retrograde in your first house in Capricorn for a long, long time, is finally moving direct on the 4th. And that will be really good news for you. Jupiter is trailing behind Pluto, but Jupiter's going to come up and conjunct Pluto a little bit later on. And so that's actually going to really kind of enlarge all the you know, I think you've been going through a time of enormous transformation and change, Capricorn. I think you were dragged kicking and screaming a bit because you're a very stoic sign, and you do like things in order, and you like to do things your way and know how things are sort of panning out. But you're also a cardinal sign, and you're not afraid of actually challenge, and you will rise to a challenge. You know, the Capricorn goat gets to the top of the mountain, and for you, with Pluto going direct, this is a little bit like you can see the top of that mountain now, and you know when you get to the top, the view you will have is going to be super wonderful, because you can breathe and kind of relax. There'll be a sense of relief once these planets really kind of leave you in Capricorn with the benefits that they can bring. And Pluto will be with you a little longer, for quite a few years longer, but that's okay, because with just Pluto in Capricorn in your first house, it just means that the sort of the ultimate transformation of who you are becoming has time over the next few years to really kind of be consolidated. But of course, both Saturn and Jupiter will leave your sign and move into your second house at the end of the year. And that's just going to shift some of the energy a bit and give you a bit of a breather, really, Capricorn, because it has been hard going. But what's happening for you this month, apart from Pluto moving direct? Well, we have 2 full moons this month, and the first one is on the 1st of October, and it's in your 4th house, Aries, and that's your house of home. So also this full moon is conjunct Chiron in Aries. Now Chiron is the wounded healer. You know, I wonder with all this action that's been going on in your 4th house, you may have made some significant changes with where you live, because you've got Mars there, and Mars of course is retrograde at the moment. So you know, you've got a lot of emphasis on this cardinal sign of Aries and your home, and I think this full moon is about really consolidating all of that. The Chiron part, it feels as if maybe the home has opened up wounds for you, wounds to do with the past, wounds to do with family members perhaps who are no longer around, and somehow this full moon brings it into full awareness, but not in a bad way, in a way that really enables you to move on and feel that you can heal from, you know, people that perhaps you have lost. So the next thing I want to move on to is that on the 14th of October, Mercury, our wonderful planet of communication, is going retrograde until the 3rd of November. Is this good or is it bad? Everyone fears Mercury retrograde. I don't. I think, oh, in one sense, maybe it gives me time for a bit of a breather. On another sense, perhaps it actually just slows me down enough to be more mindful about how I speak, how I communicate, and also to go back and address things that need to be, you know, given a second look. So let's see where it's going on for you, because it's going to be going retrograde in Scorpio in your 11th house of hopes and wishes, and it'll be going back into your 10th house of career. Now, I don't know, Capricorn, whether you've been perhaps hoping you could change jobs or just do something a little bit different, a different direction in your work, but I'm just wondering whether there's something you've been kind of thinking about and dreaming about, which is the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and that could be quite transforming for you, certainly, and maybe for others if you're developing a business idea. And this Mercury retrograde is perhaps taking you back to look at some areas that you've kind of overlooked, or dreams that you've perhaps put on the back burner and thought, well, I'll save them for later. And with Mercury going back, I think you might be thinking, oh, maybe I should relook at that idea. Because I think by the time Mercury moves back into your 10th house of career, that you will really be giving quite a bit of serious attention to this particular area. Now, Mercury is retrograde until the 3rd of November, so you've got plenty of time to look at these ideas again and see what you can create. Now, we also have a new moon in your 10th house of Libra on the 16th, and that's a really nice area to have this new moon in, because it's all again about your career. If you're between jobs or you're looking for another position, this could be a new opportunity that comes your way around about that time. It may take till after the 3rd of November to be finalized, because we will have Mercury retrograde in that area. But I would have thought by mid-November, you know, if there is a deal to be done, it'll be done. Then let's move on to the second of our full moons, our blue moon, on Halloween, on the 31st. And it's in Taurus. And that is in your 5th house. So your 5th house of creative projects, creative pursuits, of children, and of love affairs and romance. How's that area been going for you, Capricorn? Because I think you've been really kind of committed to other areas of your life, especially with all this activity in your home. So it may be that you could do with a little bit of romance, and maybe this full moon will bring it to you unexpectedly, because this full moon is conjunct Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So I wonder if there's someone you've met in the past, or someone you quite like but nothing ever happened, and maybe they suddenly come back into your life. And that could be interesting and a little bit of light relief for you, I think. And maybe it will happen on Halloween. So I think if there are any invitations to a Halloween party on the 31st, Capricorn, I think you should go. Okay, Capricorn. On that note, I'm going to finish your look at October now. I'd like to say thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel to watch this video. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, I'd really be super happy if you could do that. You'll see the subscribe button just underneath the video down here. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astrology or for life coaching, it'll be a combination of both because I tend to work that way, then my website address is just here at the bottom of the video, and any other information can be found in the description box also underneath the video, where you click on show more. Okay, thank you, Capricorn. I really wish you a wonderful month, a happy Halloween, and I will see you next time. Bye for now, Capricorn. Bye.